Perfect. So welcome everyone to our second webinar. A slightly different theme to the last one. The last one was very much getting to know us, whereas now we have a bunch of amazing speakers lined up today to give you a better idea of what our program is about. They are kind of divided into different areas, so you can see government, our interns, and industry. So we'll be delving into each of those to give you a taste of everything that our program has to offer. So with that, I'd like you to, I'll hand over the mic to Deborah, who's on behalf of the consulate and can give a brief introduction of herself, her role at the consulate, and then introduction to Dirk Janssen's video.
Good evening, everybody. I'm so excited to see so many faces here, so many people joining. Thank you all for being here. My name is Deborah Vandenbrand. I'm the head of the Economic Affairs team at the Consulate of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in San Francisco, and I'm the local point of contact for the Internships in the Valley program. That means that if you have any questions with regard to San Francisco, or you are doing your internship here and you're having any problems, issues, or would just like to join any networking activities, I'm really the person that you can reach out to. Also, in terms of contacting companies, if you have questions there, don't hesitate to reach out. So I hope you enjoyed today's webinar, and I'm very happy to pass on the word right now to a special welcome message by our Consul General in San Francisco, Dirk Janssen.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Deborah.
Welcome to Silicon Valley. I'm Dirk Janssen. I'm the Consul General of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in San Francisco. Behind me, you see the beautiful view from our consulate, downtown San Francisco, the San Francisco Bay, and I hope that we can welcome you here in real life someday. Our consulate represents the diplomatic interests of the Kingdom of the Netherlands and offers consular support in the 13 most western states of the US. But our core business is supporting Dutch companies to do business on the US West Coast and connecting the innovation ecosystems of Silicon Valley and the Netherlands. And that's why we set up the Holland in the Valley network. This community of Dutch and American innovators brings together the brightest and most entrepreneurial minds from the business communities, governments and academia in Silicon Valley and the Netherlands. And with the help of this network, we have developed extensive startup programming, including the launch of the Skill NL Accelerator. The second cohort with 10 innovative Dutch startups will start very soon. Another part of this network is the Internships in the Valley program, a partnership between our consulate, the Universities of the Netherlands Association, and the 13 research universities that you are all part of or have recently graduated from. This program is run by 2 program managers at the international office at the Vrije Universiteit and by our economic team at the consulate. Internships in the Valley is part of Holland in the Valley. Therefore, our interns are given the title of Holland in the Valley Fellow once they have secured an internship. Some of the fellows will be here today to share their experience as an intern in the US. You will also hear from members of the Holland in the Valley network. I hope that during this webinar, you will feel inspired by the Silicon Valley mindset and be aware that an internship in the Valley is a perfect way to kickstart your career, truly a golden opportunity. And during your hunt for an internship and during your internship experience, the team and fellow community will be available for support and assistance. They will guide you step by step to your dream internship. The Netherland-America Foundation offers assistance with a smooth J1 visa application procedure, and that's a benefit for companies to hire you. We're incredibly thankful for our collaboration with the Dutch universities and the Netherland-America Foundation. Our partnerships makes it possible to connect you with these wonderful opportunities in the US. Now let's get this webinar started. I wish you all the best, and I'm looking forward to meeting you here at our consulate in 2023.
The platform. Now I'd like to just briefly kind of give you a bit of a recap of who we are. If you haven't attended the previous webinars, kind of gives you a bit of a recap, like I said. We are a program that connects master's and PhD students from Dutch research universities with internships in the US. We do this by coaching you and facilitating you through our academy platform, and giving you, and with the collaboration that we have with Holland and the Valley Network. So the essentials of what makes us unique. So when you want to find an internship in the US, you with us, you are able to have a start date that and duration that is flexible to whatever you choose. You can also find an internship anywhere in the US. We facilitate you wherever you may be, if you want to go to Boston or San Francisco. And we provide you with an academy platform that you can, a course structure that you can follow so that you become comfortable with how to set up a CV, to your interview process, to then later figuring out how to do all the J1 application stuff. And we only support companies that host paid internships through our platform. And together with our visa partner, who I'll be handing the mic over to very soon, we support you with the J1 visa application to ensure everything runs very smoothly. Once you have arrived in the US, we can provide you with local network opportunities, thanks to our connection with the Consulate General. And we also have an opportunity for scholarships together again with our visa partner. So I hope that gives you a bit of a snapshot of who we are about. And then now I'd like to hand over the mic to Maggie, who is our program manager and part of our visa partner of Netherlands-America Foundation. So with that, I'll hand over the mic to you, Maggie.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Again, my name is Maggie. I'm the program manager at the Netherland-America Foundation. We refer to it as the NAF. And so I handle all of the programs that go on here. We're really proud to partner with Internships in the Valley. This is a really exciting collaboration that we've been involved in. But just to give you background on our organization, we are similar to Holland in the Valley on maintaining and strengthening relations between the US and the Netherlands. And we were founded over 100 years ago, and we provide high impact business, cultural, educational, and internship exchange. So in that capacity, we are also a J1 visa service provider, and this means a few things. So first, we do have the authority to start and initiate the visa application process for Dutch students who wish to intern in the US. We are essentially an offshoot of an organization called CIEE. That is a reputable J1 visa sponsor here in the US. And we are the organization that help specifically Dutch students get here. So in that capacity, we can help you with pre-departure. We answer your questions. There are a lot of ins and outs and sometimes confusing pieces to the visa process, but we really try and give you that human face, amidst the sea of US government jargon. So that's mainly what we're here for, is to help you with the pre-departure and make sure you're all good to go and that you will have no issue getting your visa. We also take a look at your application to make sure it's completed, your training plan as well. We can answer the questions of you and your host company to make sure everything is accurate and completed so you can get to the Valley. So we do this, I won't go too far into the details, but essentially this is what we can provide to those who are part of this program. And so in that capacity, we have a lot of activities going on here at the NAF. We do visas, but we also have a scholarship program. So say you are someone who's looking to intern, but you think, how will I ever afford this? So that's where we come in. Our program is the NAF Dutch to USA Internships, Transformational Experiences for Low-Income Students. So we started this internship program a few years ago, and it gives grants to students who might need a bit more financial assistance to get to the US. We look for high achieving and low income Dutch students who have either secured an internship in the US or are very close to securing one. And it covers living expenses, health insurance, visa costs, and flights at no direct cost to the student or host company. So I really want to stress the eligibility of this because it's twofold. So first and foremost, we're looking for low-income applicants. So neither you or your parents have the means to afford an internship in the US. And we primarily determine this by if you receive or have received envelop de bears. And our application, I can ask Michelle to send this out after. It's open for submissions, but we know that it's not a one-size-fits-all for low income, so there are opportunities to explain how you might fall under this economic status. So additionally, we're looking for applicants who have very strong ties to the Netherlands. So if you're a Dutch citizen, that is a strong tie. If you've attended high school, at least 2 years of high school in the Netherlands, or if neither of those fits into you, if you can prove that you will become a permanent resident or citizen of the Netherlands, we're really looking for people who look to make a life in the Netherlands. So I can share that application, but essentially this goes hand in hand with internships in the Valley. Once you have your internship with them and you're looking for funding, we can help out with that aspect. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to share my email, but please direct them about this specific scholarship program to me, and I will get back to you on that.
Thank you very much, Maggie.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that gives you one branch of what we're about. So together with the Dutch consulate and then with the Netherlands-American Foundation, that fills the one role of the triple helix structure that I want to present to you today. And now the next and hopefully also one of the most interesting parts for you is that we can share a little bit more about our interns. Yeah, we're very excited to have placed 11 interns in total from our previous cohort. So here's an overview of all of them there, representing a bunch of different universities and in different sectors. So you see here we have in the top row we have all that are currently in the San Francisco Bay Area. The bottom three are still they will arrive either at the end of this year or beginning next year. And then we actually have 2 that we placed in Boston, and that inspired us to offer this program to you all US-wide rather than specifically narrowing it down to the Silicon Valley area. What's more is that all these students are from a range of companies. So they can either be huge, a conglomerate type of company, such as Applied Materials, or smaller startup based. So on that note, I will kick off a discussion with one of the students that is placed at Applied Materials, so one of the larger companies, Gijs. So on that note, I will hand over the mic to you and share with us your experience so far and how the entire journey has been.
Thank you, Michelle. So I'm Gijs Bruin. A little bit about my background. I did my bachelor's in applied physics at the Delft University of Technology. And for my master's, I switched to econometrics. Which are rather technical subjects, but the thing that I really like is more the business side of things. So I applied to internships in the Valley looking for basically a business role. And I found that role at Applied Materials, where I right now do a business development internship. So a little bit about Applied Materials. It's a semiconductor equipment manufacturer. So the company makes machines to sell to the semiconductor industry. A really famous example or well-known example in the Netherlands as well as Asana. So they're quite like comparable companies. It indeed is a large company. So Jille, who will talk, I think after me, will give a little more perspective on the more startup side. But within Applied Materials, I'm with the office of the CTO, which is a smaller subdivision of the company that looks at new technologies in new markets that leverage the capabilities that the bigger company already has in certain areas, but it leverages them in new areas. So although it's a really big company, the office of the CTO has a more exploratory perspective on things. So you're still really working on the cutting edge, looking at new and exciting stuff, basically. So a quick note on how I found the internships, of course, interesting as well. I was lucky enough, I could say maybe, to be matched by the program itself. That didn't work out for everyone. Jille, again, has another perspective on that. But I was matched by the program. A note on that as well is that, if you put some work into really expressing in your CV what you can do and what you want, it in the end will make it easier to be matched to a company, but also if you will contact companies yourself. If you can really let them know what you can do, then it's easier for them to see whether it's a match or not.
I do have
so
a question for you. If you have, how have you found the US working environment?
Yeah, so the culture here, I'd say in a way it's pretty similar to the Netherlands. I mean, I'd say, for example, France or Spain would have like fundamentally different cultures. What I find really special about the Silicon Valley area and the Bay Area culture is I think you could say the whole ecosystem of companies that are here. So you've got everything from big companies to startups to investors who really reinforce each other. So the project I'm working on right now, I already see this collaborative energy with the companies within this area. Like I'd say maybe 80% of the companies that are really important for what I'm looking at right now, they're all situated here, right? But I've also heard stories about, for example, another Dutch guy I happen to know who tries to build a startup in this area, that he has like the most amazing experience in San Francisco with how easy it is to meet people that are open to new ideas and willing to invest in cool things.
Yeah, very nice. How long are you still going to be here for?
Till the end of April. Okay. So it will be 8 months in total.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. How big is your team? Last question, and then I don't know if you want to still add something.
Yeah, so the project I'm currently on, I'm driving it myself. But the larger team, so the office of the CTO, is I think about around 300 people, and it's growing quite quickly as well. Wow. And so the project I'm on right now, I'm driving it myself, and then I have some other people that are also involved in it from the higher management, basically. Yeah.
Great, very, very cool. Do you have anything else to kind of like add, last bits? Is there anything fun that you've explored while you've been here?
Yeah, so I just came back from New York, for example, where I was for Thanksgiving weekend. California has a lot to offer as well. Nature is beautiful here. So yeah, like the country is awesome, of course. Maybe also like a quick note on building your life outside of work. Of course, it's quite a big deal to move to the other side of the world for 8 months. But I think that the Bay Area is pretty well suited to just come over and build your life, because there are a lot of people that are international. Also, the Americans that come here are, if you're from the East Coast, it's as if you would move from the Netherlands to to Russia. The distance there are so big that American people that move here also are pretty new. So everyone is really open to build connections and do fun stuff. So I also think we have some from the industry that are here right now. We have some best practices as well that we'd be happy to share. With like the new group of interns. So yeah.
No, appreciate it. Thanks for sharing your story. And yeah, I hope you have an amazing time.
No problem.
Yeah. So that's kind of the one end. And now, so that's a very big company, same area, but now I'd like to zoom into Jille, who's found the position himself, for one, and it's a much smaller company as well. So very different approach under the same internships and value program. So hand over the mic to Jille. So yeah, introduce yourself. What's your background? What you study? What's your position now? How are you finding it? All the things.
Well, hi everyone. I'm Jille. So I've done my bachelor's in artificial intelligence at the University of Amsterdam. And also I'm doing my master's in artificial intelligence at the University of Amsterdam. So yeah, I have a quite different experience than Gijs finding this internship. So I found it myself. I did a lot of emailing and contacting people and stuff. So yeah, in the end, I found this internship. So currently I'm doing a year-long internship at Rhythm. So it stands for real-time health monitoring. It's a very small biomedical sort of telehealth startup here in Silicon Valley. So we treat patients with long COVID, and the company consists of like multiple parts. So first of all, we have the clinical side where the actual doctors work, where we treat the patients. This is all online because the patients are spread out all over the US, so are our doctors. So they basically just have consults online. And then second of all, we are developing our own laboratory here in Redwood City. all-party company we can run ourselves somewhere next year, hopefully. And then the third part is the entire data side. So that's where I come in. So all our patients have wearables such as like an Apple Watch or a Fitbit. And when we have all the tests of the blood tests, urine tests, all that kind of stuff, it generates a lot of data. And we want to, first of all, well, understand the data. We want to bring the data visually nice to the patients and to the doctors, and help make decisions in what treatments will work, all that kind of stuff. So it's quite small. When I started, it was like 6-7 employees or something. Currently about 25 people. So we're also growing quickly. But yeah, it's totally different than like applied material, 30,000+ people, I think. So a little bit more about how I found the internship. I found it in the end on Y Combinator. So that's a very good site if you want to find startups. So Y Combinator is a company itself that has like a host every year, like a certain round where every startup can sign up, and then they choose the best startups. They invest about $500,000 into them, depending on how well you're gonna do, they think. And you can just scroll through all the startups and find them and find their contact details and email them. The other way is LinkedIn, just contacting recruiters, which also works, but didn't really work for me. In the end, I found like 4 different interviews for different companies, contacted about 35 to 40 companies in total. And there's also a big difference in what you want to find. Like I was specifically looking for a smaller company because I already did internships with like a company like Infosys that's like 300,000 people. I didn't like that, so I was looking for this. So then this is a better way. If you want to, have a bigger company, you're probably gonna have to go through official channels because they have set up the entire infrastructure of finding interns, etc. Here you can just email the CEO, say, okay, I think I'll be beneficial to your company. Please have a Zoom meeting with me. And then about what I like in the Bay Area here. Well, I think Gijs pointed out a lot of fun things already. And I don't think the working environment is indeed very much different from the Netherlands. I think a lot of people have this notion of like, oh yeah, you go to Silicon Valley, you work like 80 hours a week, something that's not true. I work at a startup. Those are generally where you work even more. I maybe work 55 hours a week. It's a bit more, sure. You also get paid more. And it's very flexible. Today it's raining outside, so it's like, okay, I can stay home. I don't feel like going to the office. If you want to go in late, that's fine. If you want to go away early, that's also okay. Basically, just get your work done. So it's not as stressful as people generally think. So yeah, and then there's a lot to explore in the Bay Area. So with Thanksgiving, I went hiking in like a few national parks here. Went to Napa, which is a big like wine vineyard place. I've also been to New York because flights are very cheap in the US, even though it's like a 6-hour flight. So yeah, there's a lot to do here in the Bay Area. And I also agree with Gijs. I think it's quite easy to just go here and meet people because everyone is international. A lot of people move here to start working, to do an internship. So it's quite easy to fit in.
Thank you. I'll ask the same question as I asked Gijs. How do you find the US working environment? Besides the working hours, which you have.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think my working environment is pretty nice. Because we're mostly like most of our employees are remote. So we have an office where the lab is as well. Like 5 people there in total. So that's very nice. Although because it is remote, you do have to get used to working remote, which COVID helped with, I guess. But it is a bit different working than if everyone's actually there. But in general, I think everyone, I think I might have lucked out in that regard, but everyone's very nice. And just because it's like a small company, when I had the bigger company, then you have a manager, and the manager has a manager, and I didn't like that. And then here I'm sitting at the table with the CEO, and we're just talking basically about how much money the company makes. I have access to like the Amazon account with the company credit card, all that kind of stuff. Like I like that it's like small and what's going on in the company. And I think that's more fun.
Yeah, yeah. No, it sounds like it suits you really well. I see there's one specific question that I think I'll ask you now already from Jessie. So she asks, are you doing this part of the program at the UvA?
So yeah, I mean, I found the internship myself, but all the visa stuff is done through internship in the Valley. I don't know what program.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like, are you doing this for thesis work, for example?
Oh yeah, I mean, yes, originally so Rhythm is also a spin-off of Stanford. So the goal was kind of to do my thesis here, and I had like to get 12 European credits for like finishing my master's. So far I've done nothing. Just been working. So we'll see if I end up doing something.
But then
yeah.
you might just end up extending your degree. Is that how it would work?
Yeah, probably.
Nice.
I mean, that was also kind of originally the point. I also got accepted to do an exchange program. I just wanted to, do something else and just finish my degree I'm 22, so like,
yeah, no,
I can take a year.
You have time, definitely. Yeah. No, thank you very much. Yeah, so I also see a couple of questions. So I just want to kind of reiterate the fact that Jille, you found the internship yourself. You had to go through to the Y Combinators, scroll through, find everything. This is something that we will help you step by step in our academy platform this year, because we found that this is a very useful way to guide students, to coach them, but also kind of teach them to find it independently in a way. So so I think in that sense, the program this year is a bit different to the previous one. Anyway, thanks again, Jille, so much for sharing your experience. And Gijs for giving us a feel of what it's like to do an internship at also very completely different sizes of companies. And as a nice smooth transition, so talking about companies, so I think now we're going to go to our host panelists that are from the industry side. And I'd like to start with Robert Visser, who is the Vice President of the CTO Office at Applied Materials. And thank you so much for coming in today. And I would, so I give everyone here a feeling of what is expected of interns in general if they want to apply for a company such as Applied Materials.
Hi there. I'm very supportive of Holland and the Valley. I think they do an amazing job. I'm a Dutch citizen. I work here in the US for 20 years. I started my career after having studied in Leiden chemistry and physics at Philips, where I did an internal startup in OLED displays. After that, I moved to the US 20 years ago here in the Valley to become the CTO of a startup which basically enabled flexible displays, as you begin to see now. And actually also your iPhone has a flexible display inside. So that has been a big success. After that, I joined Applied Materials 12 years ago. And to give a bit of a background about Applied, it's the largest equipment company in the semiconductor and in the display. So we make the equipment on which the TSMCs and Philips or NXP makes chips or displays. So if you take your cell phone, about 80% of all the components, displays, touch screens, ICs, have been made on our equipment. We are in the same space as ASML, but ASML doing lithography. We are not competing at all. That is actually not what we do in the CTO office. Gijs has already alluded to that. What we do in the CTO office is actually taking our ability to deposit thin films, structure thin films, and create totally new materials and apply that in very new areas. So one of my colleagues does, for instance, anodes for electric batteries for electric vehicles, but does not only create a new anode, but he has also this ability then to create a machine which produces that on 2 4-meter wide rolls with almost nanometer precision. And so we are continuously looking for creating new businesses. And so this is it's a kind of mixture where we leverage the ability of a very big company together with the entrepreneurship. So we work a lot with startups, we work a lot with universities, and this is also why we are very keen to work with Holland in the Valley and with very talented students. Myself, I work, and my group works on components for AR, VR, which is of course one of the most exciting areas of new consumer electronics. We are strong believers that this will be the next platform for communication, learning, and computation. And perhaps there are many more applications which we do not even know of as yet. That started, to give an idea, that started only a few years ago with only 3 people. One of them happens to be Dutch, actually, and is by now a couple of hundred people. So we start up continuously, try to start up new businesses. I also do quantum, and Gijs is studying a new area, DNA storage. Can you store data in DNA much more efficiently and better than on magnetic tape? Now, so this is kind of what we do within the CTO office. And so we provide internships for now students in the US, but also internationally, which then get to work on really cutting edge, exciting topics. You asked me what I am looking for in interns.
Yeah.
What we want to see is a strong background, either in computer science or in business or in chemistry or physics or mechanical engineering, because without that strong background, you're working here, as Gijs and Jille said, you're working here amidst all the talent of the world. So it is very competitive. So you have to bring a strong background. But then more important, I'm looking for enthusiasm, drive, people who are what we call self-propelled, who take initiative, and furthermore, personal integrity. I think you also need to work with your colleagues in a good and respectful way. I think definitely Holland has a good tradition in that respect. So we have 3 interns now, and I would all say they're doing amazing, much beyond expectations. Yeah. So we are very, very, very happy with this program.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to hear it. So I'd be curious to know what type of projects do you think interns tend to work on at Applied Materials? Like project-based, or is it something that builds on a larger team?
So Gijs has, for instance, more or less a very exploratory topic, where we explore, hey, is this now a good business opportunity for Applied or not? And that's actually also, even when you would start a new company, these are the questions you ask yourself. Is this now a good business opportunity, or is it only technology delight? And one of the other interns is doing software project to make inkjet printers work a whole lot more efficiently. So what we try to do is actually, certainly for the interns, which like Gijs and the other ones, work here for about 6 months, to really do something where they can have a lot of their own input, working with others, and which at the end of the road, there is something to report on, something they can put on their resume, because I think that's in the end very important. And yeah, we want also to test the interns in a certain sense. Hey, can they really do a job? And I must say, as said, they're doing very, very well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think that summarizes it very well. And it's also the type of interns we want to attract to internships in the Valley and have them apply to our program. And I think it's a perfect stepping stone for their career. And if we can offer them that, that's perfect. Is there anything else you'd like to kind of like last words for any of the potential interns listening here today?
No, I think actually we offer opportunities for internships in lots of different areas. This can be business, it can be purely technical. Typically is because also the semiconductor industry is of course very, very cutting edge. So it is really cutting edge technology. And yeah, you get to work also with the whole environment in the Valley, working with big companies, working with small companies, and meeting. We also work a lot with the universities, meeting amazing people. One common trait is talent, but also entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I think that's the atmosphere. And as said, I did at the start a total pivot. And it is amazing. You can get so much knowledge from other companies and people, the openness of people to discuss and allow you to learn from them is really amazing.
Yeah. No, thank you very much, Robert, for giving us that kind of insight into what it's like to work here as well, besides applied materials. So then I'd like to move on to our next speaker. So last but not least, that's for sure. Carmen Pop is actually one of our talent committee members of our program. She helps kind of the mentoring role and seeing this program through, but she is also the chief of staff at Asana. And yeah, she'll give us a bit of an insight of what it is like to work and live in the US. So if I can hand over the mic to Carmen, if you could introduce yourself, what's your background, and yeah, just kick it off.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. And nice to meet everybody on Zoom, although I can't see you, unfortunately. So my name is Carmen Pop. I have the least Dutch name out of all the speakers today, but I was born and raised in Schiedam, for those of you that are from Schiedam. I went to high school there, Stedelijk Gymnasium, in case there are people from there. And then I actually got a tennis scholarship to the US. Hence, I got a little bit of an American accent along the way. So I studied here in Virginia, actually, studied business, really got a taste of the US. And I just kind of fell in love with just with the way that there's so much entrepreneurship here, obviously versus the Netherlands. It's a capitalist country. So if you're into business, I think it really kind of stimulates business and opportunities. And I personally really enjoyed that. So post-studying in the US, I worked here on, I think it's the F1 visa. I've been on a lot of different visas, so I can tell you more about that as well. Then eventually moved back to Amsterdam, but found my way in Dublin, Ireland, which is a nice stepping stone to also get to the US eventually, if you were to want to do that. Now in Amsterdam as well, actually, but I took the route to Dublin with LinkedIn at the time, and I worked at Dropbox. Dropbox moved me to San Francisco, and then I moved to Asana, where I currently am chief of staff to the CFO. You might be wondering, what does a chief of staff do? I get that question all the time. It's really kind of an extension to the CFO. So think about all the things that come up with CFO, that we have earnings. We actually have earnings today as a company. So that's an important milestone. We have board meetings, but he also has an organization of about 250 people with a lot of leaders and teams. And so I basically help manage that. I help set the strategy for the organization, drive change management, coach the leadership staff. I'm also kind of the person that will host all hands and meetings and write comms on behalf of the CFO. And so really, I've really enjoyed it. It's kind of like a job where you're allowed to sit at the table of senior executives without actually being the senior executive. It's almost like you get to think and come up with recommendations for strategies and solutions without actually having the full responsibility of having the entire organization report into you, which is pretty nice as well. Yeah, so what do I love about the Bay, Silicon Valley? I think Jille and Gijs kind of already mentioned it. I mean, I love it. There's a lot of energy around innovation. People are really excited to problem solve and find new ways to do things. And that's just something that really inspires me personally. For those of you who don't know Asana, we are basically a work management platform that helps with all the work management across your company. So think about working on a project with students, with other students. You might wonder, hey, where is Gijs with his part of the work of the project? So Asana kind of allows you to clearly divvy out all the responsibilities of a project and more easily track the progress of the work. So if you haven't checked it out before, I highly recommend it. I think it's actually really helpful for students as well. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll pause there. I don't know, Michelle, if you have any questions or anything that you'd like me to double click on, I'm happy to.
I guess so how long have you not been in the States, and is this now home? Is this how does it feel?
Yeah, so I've been in San Francisco coming up on, I moved here, I'm coming up on 7 years now in March next year. I moved here from Dublin, but if you combine it together with my stint in Virginia, I'm coming up on 12 years total. So yeah, I've been here for a while. I've lived more abroad as an adult than I have in the Netherlands. So US is definitely starting to feel more like home, but I'll still be rooting for the Netherlands in the World Cup on Saturday. Don't you worry.
That's when you show the true colors.
But you know, if the US wins, I'll be basically both teams work, but obviously Netherlands #1. But yeah, I mean, it is home to me. I love San Francisco. I think Jille kind of called it out. I'm big on the outdoors and nature. Maybe today is not the right day because it's quite terrible weather because it's raining, but usually in California, we're lucky to see the sun quite a lot. And I think growing up in the Netherlands, you know, that's not something you're very used to. So, you know, I have a dog, I have a fiance, we go for hikes every weekend. I ride a motorcycle. It's just a really, for me, it's the best lifestyle. Of course, I miss family and friends. And I also think the one thing I notice when I go back to Amsterdam and I land in Europe is just the, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a difference of people in the US they live to work versus Europeans are definitely more like they work to live. And I've worked at LinkedIn in Amsterdam, and I've worked at LinkedIn in Dublin, and then like I can definitely tell the difference where your work in the US is more part of your identity than it is in Europe. And I think that's actually important to note, and it's important to distinguish, because I don't necessarily think that's healthy to like really make everything evolve around like your work. But I do think a lot of Americans that is kind of what they live for. And so I think I have the lucky perspective of having been born and raised in Europe. So I think I'm able to keep a better like work-life balance for that manner. But at the same time, I do also work, you know, probably more hours than people in the Netherlands or Europe would, but I'm also really excited and passionate about it. And I think if I think about Silicon Valley, that's what I love about it. It's not you're just clocking in and out for many, many hours. It really feels like you're driving change and you're helping companies get more productive and successful with the tools and technology that they're using. So that feels inspiring and motivating to me. But I also understand that it might be a little bit too much or intense for some, right? So I think if you love business, if you are passionate about technologies and just innovation, I think Silicon Valley could be a great place for you. In general, I think it's a good experience, right? So I think with everything, you don't know what it's like until you try it. So my advice to people is always, if you have an interest, try it. If you don't like it, you can always change, right? And I think there's maybe sometimes, if I think back to being a student, which to me feels like yesterday, but it's starting to get longer and longer ago now. But, you know, it feels so critical of like which decision you're making, and that you're like, really, that's it, and you have to stick with it. And I just want to let you know that, you know, the only thing constant is change, right? So embrace that you can change your career and your trajectory anytime you want, really, right? It's whatever you put your energy and your attention towards. And so I really just hope that you know, this panel inspires you to just kind of figure out what it is that you want, what gets you excited. I think whatever gives you energy is a good place to spend your time. So that would be some of my.
Yeah, no, great. Would you, yeah, I mean, you've really given all the students a lot of advice already, but particularly for like starting, I think there's a lot of like a big hurdle of like this, you know, like choice paralysis, where students are just like, I have so much that I could choose from. US is such a big place. How do they maybe begin to narrow it down? What approach can they maybe pick?
Yeah, great question. So I'll try to give you a very I'll first give you like a high level answer, and then I'll go a little bit more specific. Okay. So I think back to my last comment of you know, you can't really go wrong if you pursue something that you're excited about or that you're interested in, because you have an interest in it, you have an excitement around it. You don't know what it's going to be like if you do the job. So you might as well just try and put your, you know, just commit to it, and then decide, am I enjoying this? Am I not enjoying this? I also want to be fully transparent. There's no such thing as doing a job where you love every single thing about that job. There's going to be things about a job where you're like, I have to write these emails, or I have to, you know, write this text, or, you know, there's no job where everything is just amazing, right? That's maybe if you're a professional soccer player, maybe, but I'm just being realistic here in terms of corporate. But more specific, I think there was a LinkedIn executive that once told me, when people make decisions joining a company, there's really 5 factors to why you would join a company. And I'm going to try to remember all of them because I'm just thinking on the fly here. So one is the industry. The other is the company. The other is the location, career progression, and the manager. So those are 5 key, like almost you might want to write that down in a spreadsheet and say, out of those, if you tally it up and it's 100%, what has the most weight? Like, do you care the most about going to the US? Okay, then put more emphasis on that. Or do you care more about the industry you go to? Do you care more about the type of company you go to? Do you care more about the actual role and the way it plays into your progression in your career? Let's say you really know you want to be a software engineer, then really focus on getting a software engineering job. Or do you really care about having a really good manager that you think you can learn from? Because if there's one thing I've learned in my career is people leave managers, not companies. So when you join a company, definitely make sure that whoever you'll be reporting to or be managed by, that you have somewhat of a connection, or at least feel like you can learn something from them. And a caveat to that as well is, like, you're also going to have situations where you'll have a manager that you might not like or enjoy that much, but that's why having a mentor or having people that you feel like you can learn from in your orb is always really important. So that would be kind of my advice is just make a list, right? Sometimes just writing it down really helps. Like, what is most important to you in your next role, right? And then from there, I think you can start narrowing it down, because again, to Michelle's point, like, there's so many things out there, right? So you want to narrow it down of like what's most important to you, and that will then narrow it down to pure options.
I'd like to second that. I think I always advise students to, you cannot go wrong, but pick something which is exciting, where you can make a difference and where you learn. And that's the most important thing in the beginning of your career. Learning, form that basis and explore what you want to do in your life. It turns out to be very different than what you originally thought. And even if you join a startup company which fails, even from that failure, you probably learned a whole lot more than staying at a very big company where you do a traditional job. So you cannot go wrong. I would totally agree with what Carmen said here.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you, Robert, for chipping in as well. Yeah, do you have, we're nearing the end of our hour. Do you have any kind of like last words, things that you'd like to kind of like, I don't know, more knowledge that you can endow on all the students. If you have anything at the end still to say.
Well, I think it was great to just hear from Gijs, Jille, and Robert as well. I would say follow up with us via LinkedIn. I think another thing I've learned is know that you never know who you come across again in your career, right? You're still young now, so you can't imagine it. But so I'm now, at Asana, and I am working with people that I worked with 10 years ago at LinkedIn that I never thought I'd meet again. But the world is really small, especially if you go into Silicon Valley. So make sure to you don't need to network super actively, but if you find someone or some people that you're like, hey, I'm inspired by that person or those people, connect with them, stay in touch with them, make sure that they remember the interaction so that maybe a few years down the line or a few months, who knows, you just never know what roles might open up in their companies and they can refer you into the company. I just think it's really important to remember that, it sounds cliche, but success is a team effort. You can control your own actions, but in the end, it's all around the connections and the people that you work with and collaborate with. So I just think it's important to build your network as you're even a student. Maybe there's certain people in your class that you're working with extra well, make sure that you stay in touch with them or brainstorm even with them. We can all learn from each other. So those would kind of be my final things, but I'm excited for all of you as you're even on this call, right? You're on this call, which means that you're exploring, you're interested in something. And so I'd say, a book that I also recommend here, Atomic Habits by James Clear, really, really good book. Really talks around, you're not going to achieve anything just in one day. It's one little step at a time. So the fact that you're on this call already is one step towards what you want to do next. And so just keep doing that, and then you'll land in a good place, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I very much second the Atomic Habits. It's a really, really good book. Can recommend very strongly. And yeah, this is very much, you can view it very much as a first step. You're on this call. If you've applied for our program, I think you've definitely taken a step in the right direction. So this is the whole thing. We're here to facilitate your discovering, your learning. This is what the program is there to offer, to make it less scary, less intimidating, because I know the US can be a big, scary place, especially if you're a student coming from a very a Europe-centric structure and university setting. So please, if you have not yet, please do apply. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'd like to say a big thank you to all our panelists, to Carmen, to Robert, to Gijs, to Jille, and to Maggie. Thank you so much for attending, for making this a very holistic webinar, hopefully, giving everyone a good idea about what internships in the Valley, what an internship in the US can all be about. I think I will just end it here. I think we are perfect on time. If you'd like, I know Aoife's been in the background furiously typing all the Q&A questions, or answering all the Q&A questions that you guys have had. If there's anything left unanswered, we will get back to you. I know from the previous webinar, we had an obscene amount of questions. We had 127 questions. So we've been filtering that out, creating a very substantial FAQ document. So don't worry, that'll come your way sometime this week, end of or beginning next week. So I don't know, I'll just hand over the mic to Aoife if you have anything left to say. I don't know if you're still busy typing, but otherwise I'll end the webinar.
No, just many thanks to all the panelists. And I think it's, great closing words from Carmen, very motivational, very motivating. So I hope we can help many of you that are attending today to your next steps in your career.